This is the Level Up Podcast. I'm Taylor Petrinovich.
And I'm Kelley Gilster of 618 Studios.
And we are on a mission to help wedding filmmakers and photographers level up their businesses so you can make more and work less.
We want to help you confidently take your business from mainstream to luxury, and it all starts right here. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another conversation here at the Level Up Podcast. I'm here with my girl, Taylor. Again, she took over the podcast last week and shared a really vulnerable and emotional story. And I just have to say, Taylor, you did such a good job. I listened back on it, and I know that was really hard for you, but I feel like you did such an amazing job sharing all of that and everything you navigated.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think anytime we step outside of what would be our comfort zone, like for our comfort zone on the podcast is very much so like wedding, branding, marketing specific. And so anytime we like talk about things outside of our comfort zone, it can feel a little, I don't know, like I felt exposed, but I'm so glad I did because we posted a carousel kind of leading up to the podcast. And again, I wasn't really sure how it would perform, but I looked and like within 24 hours, it had over 8,000 views and like 300 likes and so many people sharing their stories in the comments about challenges like with health or death or things like that they have faced as a wedding creative as well. So I feel like it opened up some really great conversation, and I'm glad I did it. But today I'm sitting here with my tea, hopefully like going down a different road today. Actually, I have to give a shout out. A few weeks ago, we hosted our league holiday party, and I'm holding, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding this like mug thing with a lid that Mandy Johnson got me, which was so sweet. So Mandy, thank you for the mug. I have my tea in it right now, and I'm going to sip on it while we're recording.
That's awesome. That's so cute and handy. I love a handy gift, and that's amazing. All right. So Taylor talked about on the podcast that I was going to be debriefing my Texas wedding. We're kind of pivoting a little bit because we realized that within a matter of a couple of weeks, Taylor and I actually had an opportunity to film at the same property. It was Santa Lucia. I think that's how it's pronounced. I thought it was Santa Lucia. A planner was like, oh, it's actually this. And I was like, oh, okay, noted. So we got to shoot at the same property, and we're going to talk about the differences probably between our two weddings and how we navigated everything. I would say this is kind of a challenging property. It's one of those properties you have zero cell reception. So the planners are walking around with like walkie-talkies. Sometimes the photographers handed a walkie-talkie because it's a really vast venue. It's like a private, it's almost like a Martis camp, right, Taylor? If you want to kind of explain what Martis camp is.
Martis, yes, is very similar. So Martis Camp is basically an area. I almost consider it like an HOA community, and I'm sure it is, of luxury properties where, the homes pretty much start at like 3 million and go all the way up to 30 million. And Santa Lucia, whatever. I'm going to call it Santa Lucia. I don't know. Yeah. I feel most comfortable saying it that way, but it's in Carmel. And so there's so much land. It's like rolling hills. And so it is not even like a golf cart-able venue. It is, you get in your 4-wheel drive vehicle and you drive from the reception barn down to where this ceremony is. And it's like an 8-minute drive by vehicle. So it is, imagine expansive and probably times it by 3 in your mind.
Yeah. And when you're at the front gate, because there's like a front gate, to even get to the venue, it's a solid 30-minute drive to like get to the venue. And like, yes, you kind of see these like huge mansion houses, but kind of not. They're very hidden. Like you don't really know where they are. So, okay.
So many deer, like just like wildlife, turkeys in the road.
Yeah. You're like, where are we? But we're like in the middle, like Northern California. It's so beautiful. It was my first time working at that property. Was it your first time, Taylor?
Yeah, it was. I actually I don't work in Carmel very often. So it was kind of a treat for me, but I would love to go there again. Like, especially now that I kind of have the lay of the land and I wouldn't be so nervous. I remember like I had so much anxiety about like the no cell reception part of drive. I'm already kind of a nervous driver when it comes to like going to new places. And I asked like multiple people on the planning team, like, just to be so sure, like, okay, this is the route I take. What do I do when I pass? Because like usually, so for Marta's camp and then for this property as well, there's like a security station that you'll hit at the gate, and you have to say your name, you have to say why you're there, which event you're there, well, if you're there for the event, and they're checking to make sure that you're allowed on. But once you pass that, you lose all cell reception, like Kelley said, for 30 minutes. So if you don't know where you're going, like you'd have to turn around and start over.
Yeah. It kind of brought me back to the MapQuest days. So 15 years ago, the grandma and grandpa of the industry, Kelley and Paul, we used to MapQuest our ways because we didn't have, maybe we had an iPhone. I don't know. We like would like MapQuest out like how to get to our venues. And I literally kind of did the same thing. Like I looked up because the bride and so the groom got married at the hacienda, which is, to paint a picture, kind of like the main hub of where everything is. And then the bride was up at her parents' like vacation home, which is within the property. So I had to like basically figure out like take screenshots and like take screenshots of the map directions on how to get to everything. Like, okay, I think I've gone a mile, and I'm like looking at my like odometer, like, okay, I turn left here. It literally is like that. It brings you back to like the 90s, early 2000s. But it's and I was on my own for it. So like we split, like Paul's hanging out at the hacienda, and then I'm up at the bride's, which is another from there, another 15-minute drive from the already 30 minutes in. And we knew where everything was going to be. We knew that first look was going to be down in this redwood forest, which is where Taylor's ceremony was. There's a lot of flexibility on like use of the places. So we knew where everything was. I wish that we would have had enough time, to be completely honest, to do a walkthrough the day before. We were only hired for wedding day on this one. The photographer was hired for welcome party and wedding day. And I saw even on Thursday, she had flown in and had done like a walkthrough with the team. I wish we would have been a part of that because we arrived early, but it was like eaten up really quickly to try to like familiarize ourselves with the property and where everything was. And like, if it's a walking situation from venue to venue location, or if it's a driving situation, and it very much is a driving situation. So on the fly, kind of figuring out like those logistics of like, okay, these bags go here and then this bag goes here, and we won't need lights until the third location of the night. So the lights are going here, and like divvying out all that gear, like even though we're arriving an hour or more beforehand, it was like it got eaten up so fast because of that. I'm curious how yours went too, Taylor.
Yeah, mine was very different. So I did do welcome party the evening before, but it was just at like a little winery tasting room in Carmel. So the first time at the property was my first time at the property. And it was a little bit different too because they got ready at a different hotel. So it was like arrive at the hotel, shoot, getting ready, shoot first look, and then we drive to the Preserve, which is the venue, and like lose all contact. So I was actually really nervous because like there was no just getting to the venue early to make sure that you're in the right spot. It was like
Oh,
it's go
yeah.
time in the middle of the timeline. And so I was nervous I would take a wrong turn and then like the events would cascade and I wouldn't be present. Like that was a real fear. It all worked out actually like so great. But this wedding was different. This was actually a same-sex wedding. It was two brides, which is the first time I've done two brides. I've had two grooms before, which for video, two grooms is a little bit more logistically easy just because it's easy to mic a guy who's wearing a suit jacket. And all the videographers are probably nodding along. Maybe photographers like, oh, I didn't know you had to like deal with this stuff. But the two brides each wore gowns and they were very form fitting. There was no way even like the smallest mic was going to be appropriate for this. So I did not mic the brides at all. Like throughout the whole day, we just relied on like the officiant audio and like tapping into systems. So, and then the officiant was a female as well.
Oh,
We
I
did
was going
mic
to
her up though. I
ask.
was like, your attire, matters slightly less than the bride's. So that was like a slightly different challenge as well from the video side. But yeah, this was one of those where a few weeks ago I talked about how my system of like using my notes app and then denoting each timestamp and where each of my team members is, what focal length they're on, what they're focusing on, and like their responsibilities literally for like in like 30-minute increments throughout the day. This is where this like really came in handy because we've talked about there's no cell reception. So there's no like, hey, can you please go throw a tripod up here? Like everyone had to know ahead of time exactly what they were doing. So I had arrived before the welcome party to the hotel that I wanted to check into like super early. I had like 3 or 4 hours until I had to go shoot welcome party. So I sat down with my laptop, combed through the timeline, and like made a very, very, very detailed, like even more detailed than my normal like notes app timeline. And I basically just had to, I had two team members, so there was three of us, and I basically had to trust them to do almost everything because the way it logistically worked out was there was room in the photographer's car, and they really only wanted one car kind of zipping around the property for like photo one, video one. So it was like photographer, second shooter, a girl on the planning team, and me. So there was no room for, I couldn't do anything with tripods or audio or anything. So I had to like completely rely on my team to do all of that. And it actually felt really nice. I just like got into the car with my gimbal, my camera, and like just shot, which was like so fun. And the guys had to drone, they had to set up all the tripods, they had to set up all the audio. But I just showed up. It was actually kind of nice.
That's really nice. You're living Kelley's life on a wedding day almost.
I know you use the term like I just get to float around with my monopod. I
Yeah,
felt like I got to float around.
float around. That's so fun. And then, so, okay, I have to ask you because when we did the first look down in that Redwoods, and the planner had advised the client, because the client really kind of wanted the Redwoods for the ceremony location, but she was like, you guys, she does a lot of weddings there. And she's like, you guys, it's so buggy, like so many bugs. You're not going to want to do it down here. I promise. Why don't we do first look and portraits down here? And it'll give you kind of that same feel that you're looking for in your gallery and your film. And so they're like, okay. And I think they were so grateful because all of us were like, so overstimulated by all these bugs, and they were like the bugs that like try to get into your ears and try to get into your nose, and like it was just like we were constantly like swatting away, and like even during the first look they're kind of like swatting at their faces and stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge. And then we moved to the hacienda for the ceremony, which was beautiful. And then dinner was then down at a tent on like a lower lawn that all the guests kind of like walked to, which was really pretty. And I kind of knew like stylistically that I wanted like a drone shot of like transitions. That's one thing that I've been really loving about like working in this level of the market is like the movement from place to place. And I've been trying to do a better job of capturing that movement in like the just like I don't know, just like what the guests were doing and like how they were like moving from space to space, especially when it's a beautiful place like the Preserve and it's like such a pretty little like woodsy walkway that they're walking through to get to the tent. And then dinner was in the barn where I saw your reception was in there. And so like basically just like speeches, cake cutting, and toasts were in like where the tent was. And then we all moved for like reception formalities. They did like a hora, they did like father, daughter, mother, son, their first dance, and then all open dancing. So that was there. So it was like another step of movement on ours, of like then driving and then trying to like beat the guests to the next spot. Like that's always a challenge. But going back to yours, Taylor, how was the bugs at the ceremony site?
Okay, so I'm gonna like kind of walk through the logistics of mine because yours was complicated and mine was complicated in a different way. So we arrived at the hacienda. So like that was the first place we went when we drove in. And that's where I offloaded all of like my tripods, my gear, because I wanted most of the ceremony shot on like my camera system. So like I gave all of my stuff to my team, and like they did supplement with like their own stuff as well, but like they were looking around like my Pelican cases, things like that. So like I divvied that up. They did by then they've already done first look. Like we did getting ready and first look at the hotel, and they wanted that done before so that they could have like a 30-minute peaceful drive, just the two of them in a car, on their way to into the venue, which I think makes the day so much more enjoyable for the couple. Like That's like some of the only time you get when it's like uninterrupted with a million other people. So I'm glad they had that. So we arrived at the hacienda. It was raining, you guys.
Oh, it was?
It was raining. Yeah. So everyone like huddled inside and like waited for it to subside. And it eventually did. And so then they knocked out family photos. And then we all drove down to the wooded area where the ceremony was. We did more portraits. And then the brides got driven back up to the hacienda. Photo video one stayed and shot the space, and then we went back up to the hacienda, and then we shot. I'm trying to remember how the flow of the day. We had to go back up to shoot something. I don't know if it was
Oh my gosh,
reception details.
I kinda hate when that happens.
Yeah,
Oh, was it reception details in the barn, or was it
I
like a
think
first look of
so.
some kind?
No, we did. Then we did reception details in the barn. Yeah, that's what we did. We did close-ups. We did just like all the close and medium shots because then later on in the day, they were gonna put the band there and have them staged so that they were in, like, the wide room shots,
Love, love.
which I
So
do love.
smart. So smart of the planning team to think of that from, like, a photo, video, media side.
I loved it. Actually, like, this particular planner does an amazing job of, like, crossing all of the T's and dotting every single I available. Like, honestly, hats off every single time, to her. So we were like back, blah, 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 and then so we were shooting the reception, and then we had to go back down to the ceremony. By the time we got back down to the ceremony, like my team was already like almost done setting up tripods. Guests were already arriving to the space. So it was like you really have to trust your team, you know.
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, there were bugs, and we were down there a couple different times, but they did build a raised platform for the aisle and for the ceremony to be taking place. All the guests were like on chairs in not the dirt, but like on the ground.
Like yeah, like the
It is
wood
like it's like
floor is
forest
all good.
floor,
Yeah,
yeah,
forest
with
floor, yeah.
like mulchy like leaves, things like that. It was beautiful. It's like gorgeous. Maybe we can drop a few photos for Cassie to include in the YouTube version of the podcast. But so I think the brides and the officiant were unaffected for the most part by the bugs because they were on this like raised platform. But everyone else had some bugs to deal with, but it was okay. And then the I don't know about you, I'm sure it was the same for you, but like multiple shuttles being like driven all around the property for all the guests. Like there's no room for parking. Like guests can't just drive themselves from spot to spot, and it's too much for golf carts where you'll see some venues just like, people who can't walk very far like get shuttled around through golf carts. Like it was like many shuttles.
So, I don't know if ours had as many shuttles. The guests walked everywhere because it was like hacienda, and then cocktail hour was hacienda, and then they walked. It was a pretty far walk, actually. Like, I mean, there was like one shuttle that needed to take like elderly like guests and like things like that. But like,
I guess if only the couple was down doing the first look, I guess
yeah,
in your wooded area, then the guests are not being brought down there. So that actually makes sense.
yeah, yeah. And then they just walked from the lower lawn over to the barn. Another like solid 5-minute walk for them,
Mhm.
after a few drinks. It's probably a good time, but it's like pitch black there. Um, and so yeah, and then they started off on dancing.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this one was a little different for a few different reasons too. There were no toasts for me during this wedding on my end, besides a very, very brief welcome toast by one of the brides. Um, and then one of the brides did a father-daughter dance. They did their first dance. And then actually I love this. This is the sweetest thing ever. In lieu of a father-daughter dance for the other bride, she and her dad played a song. Like she played guitar and I think he did the keys, and they played a really beautiful song together, like a little musical duet on stage, like with the band's stuff. And I thought that was a really sweet thing to do if like a first dance didn't feel like your vibe, like with your dad. So love that.
That's so cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Um, Another logistic, Paul crashed his drone at this one, which I felt like I needed to include. He was so embarrassed. And so it was like last shot of the night. The timeline was a little bit lengthy. Opposite of yours having no toast, mine had all of the toast. Like I still need to lay down the like full toast track, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be over an hour of toasts. And it was
Wow.
pretty much all at once. There was a lot of toasts. And they were just lengthy, but like it's fine. But it made dinner kind of like run later and the transition over to the barn. So we were already kind of behind. And then Paul decided like, oh, I'm gonna fly the drone like outside of the barn, and like shoot, like kind of get a shot like into the barn type of thing of dancing. And he was like, he'd gotten a few, and then he's like, okay, cool. And then now I'm gonna do this like left to right pan with the drone. And he's like going, 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 hits a tree. And so we're like, okay. So we had to like reach out to the planner. And by now, like usually I would not bog the planner down by this, like in the midst of things, but like all reception formalities have been done. I think we even maybe asked her assistant of like, who can we talk to potentially help us get the drone out of this like huge tree? Like Paula's like gotten a drone stuck in a tree a couple of times, and he's actually just like climbed up into the tree to get it because it wasn't that tall, but like this was like a massive oak tree, like huge. So they're like, yeah, we can get some people who work for the property. So like some guys who did maintenance and like landscape came, and they were like really sweet. And they got up on this big ladder, and then they had to go get another big ladder because they realized it was way, way up there. And we were like, all of us were kind of below trying to like grab it. Like whenever it got like knocked down by like their like broomstick, none of us caught it. It just like hit so many branches on the way down that it was like just toppling in different directions. And like all of us are trying to figure out how to get it. And then it just like splattered in front of us. And it was really
Oh
sad.
my gosh.
We got the card out, and that was great. And it's fine. I mean, it's like the cost of doing business, you know, but and we did need a new drone. So I guess it's kind of a blessing in a way. But it made it logistically challenging for the wedding that we had 6 days later in Texas, because it's kind of hard to get drones right now, with like things and stuff. So we found like a mini. We had never had a mini before, like the DJI Mini Pro or whatever. And we got the 4, because we could get that one in time. And
Yeah.
then we like to have the full size as well. And we felt like it was time to just like kind of have a backup drone anyways, because of like the scale of events that we're doing. It makes sense now to
Yeah.
kind of have two just in case that were
100%.
to
I mean, I
happen.
have all my second shooters bring their drone and I bring mine too. So like if it's just you and Paul, like you need to supply too. Like that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah. So then we then invested like the following week, because the one in Texas was our last wedding of the year, and so we weren't going to need a drone for a bit, and so we got the Mavic 5, like the big one, and it's really nice. So yeah, but that was kind of like funny, and then yeah, we flew up for this one. So this is like a travel one for us. So we flew up on Friday, drove in, shot Saturday, flew back Sunday. So it's just like a quick trip. It's only like an hour and a half, not even an hour and a half flight to San Jose for us from Orange County.
Yeah. It was like 3.5 hour drive for me. So probably like about the same amount of travel all in. Like by the time you're getting to the airport early, checking bags, like departing the airport, it's probably like a similar amount of travel time. Driving down on Friday traffic through the Bay Area is
So
like
bad.
so bad. So I left my house. I want to say I left my house at like 10 a.m. I was like, there's no way I'm going to like get into a pickle on this like on this drive down to Carmel. And so yeah, and I always stay at the Embassy Suites in Monterey if I'm working in that
Yeah.
area. It's just like the only hotel that doesn't cost like $1,000 a night. It's still $600 a night for like a very like mid room. But so it's just like sometimes it costs so much money to work in certain areas. And so being knowledgeable on that when you're quoting for travel or like understanding the cost of doing business, when it comes to like building your portfolio for certain areas is really, really smart. Like I think it's smart to go in with your eyes wide open on things instead of being blindsided. And
Yeah.
sometimes travel is just expensive.
Yeah. And this is very timely because this past week we educated all of our mastermind students on pricing and proposals, and like how to factor in travel, how to present that on a proposal, how to like, you know, check on like what and like how to bill appropriately for it. And so that was like, I think, eye opening for a lot of the students who were probably falling into like tactics that were making it probably either challenging to book travel from like client experience standpoint, but then also when a planner enters the scene, like what are their expectations on how travel is billed and when it's presented to the client and how it's presented to the client. So that's always like a great piece of etiquette that we teach all of our students. And I think they were like, oh, okay, I need to make some changes in my systems and processes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's you never want to be the odd man out doing things in the uphill battle type of way or the way that goes against the grain. Like we use the term easy button push all the time, and charging for travel is like one of those things where if you don't know how to be the easy button push, then you need to learn how to do that for yourself, because planners will keep coming back to you if you're honestly just like really easy to work with. If you're a positive presence, if you're super easy and like not bogging them down with a million questions or making it logistically a nightmare to work with you, and then you create a beautiful product. Like, and travel is one of those things if you're doing destination. I'm trying to think of,
Actually,
go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, being easy button push, this Preserve wedding that we're talking about right now, I got like the best compliment from that planner ever. And after the wedding day, I sent along the teaser to her and she responded back and just said, "Thank you so much, Kelly and Paul. I'm going to pass along to the client. This is so beautiful. And I just have to say that you guys are always so easy on the wedding day." And I'm like, that's exactly what I want. I'm so glad that I like made her life easy and that she noticed and that she appreciated it. So always the easy button push through and through. And in a couple weeks with our mastermind students, we're going to walk through like pre-wedding day workflow and wedding day workflow and post-wedding day workflow. Oh my goodness, to ensure that you are that easy button push and that planners, they see you set apart from the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my end that would just be interesting to hear as far as like debrief go. I will say I did. So you've mentioned a few times that for you doing destination work is a little bit easier with the kids, because instead of like trying to get ready in the morning with like kids asking you a million questions or needing things or making messes, like you are able to send them to the grandparents for the weekend, and it's a little bit more of a peaceful experience for you. Just you and Paul out doing your thing, not having to like balance being mom and also a business owner. And I will say it is the same. So whenever I am able to stay overnight, so I mean, obviously 3.5 hours, like I'm not going to drive at midnight for 3.5 hours through windy, twisty turnies to like try to get home by 2 in the morning. Like that's just not going to happen. So I stay overnight Friday night and then Saturday night. And I love it when I have weddings like this. And three of my weddings this year were this way, where I get to wake up on Sunday morning in the hotel. I have already dumped all of my cards, backed up all my files, sorted through everything. And there's nothing better than sitting there with your not very good hotel coffee, honestly. And I just knocked out a teaser, like a minute long teaser in the hotel room by 9:30 in the morning. And then I drove home. I put a few like finishing touches on it before sending it to the planner, but I had it off to her by 3 in the afternoon, I think. And it always gets such a great response when I'm fast like that. And if I were to honestly kind of like waste that time with my coffee in the morning of like scrolling TikTok or like doing whatever, and then if I would have waited until I got home to try to do the teaser, like I've already been away from my family for a few days. Like I don't want my attention to be divided, because my nature would be to like want to sit down with the laptop. And like
Yeah.
here my kids are, and like of course they want to see me and talk to me. Like I've been gone for a few days, and so I don't want to be distracted. So I try to knock that out before I leave the hotel so that I can be like 100% all in with the fam. Um, and then we talk about this with the mastermind students too, but the photographer and myself were kind of texting back and forth on like when we were going to get our preview stuff over to the planner, and we did kind of coordinate those things so that we both looked good equally, instead of like one beating the other you know, to it, I guess. So that's kind of nice too, when you can kind of approach it from a more collaborative way. Um, but yeah,
Love. Who was the photographer on yours?
it was Rebecca Yale.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And
I
you've
like
worked
working
with her
with her.
before.
She actually
Cool.
referred me. So I'd worked with this planner before one time a few years ago, and this couple added video on pretty last minute. Like it was booked like 30 days before the wedding ish, maybe like 40 days. I don't know, but about a month. And I guess the planner asked Rebecca, like, hey, I'm thinking about like these people to pitch to the client. Like, is there someone you would rather work with? And she was like, yeah, Taylor. Like, I want to work with her. Like, so try to get her on it. So I was like, thanks, Rebecca.
Awesome.
Like, that's so nice. um,
Amazing.
yeah.
I love that.
So that's where like I think sometimes people have such blinders on and like wanting to only seek out planner referrals. And it's like so important to not discount all the relationships in the industry. This is a conversation that a lot of photographers have with planners is like which video teams do you enjoy working with? And if you are not collaborative with the photo team, you are not going to get the stamp of approval from that photographer. And it could honestly cost you bookings. You have to be gracious and easy to work with and approach it like from a team mindset if you want those stamps of approval.
Yeah, for sure. Danny Toscano was the photographer on the one that we did, and she was we hadn't worked with her before, but she was so lovely, and she's been in the industry for a long time like we have as well, and I just really liked her. She was just yeah, just easy. Her second actually, we did like a COVID wedding with her second, Ariel. And so that was a fun little surprise. I was like, "Oh, who's your second today?" She's like, "Oh, Ariel Min." I was like, "Wait, I know her." So it was like a little reunion.
That's
But it's
fun.
so great. And then even just like, okay, this is also just like, you know, becoming like friends with the photographer and stuff. Like Danny Toscano's work is like very, how would you describe it, Taylor?
Vibey, like honestly,
Yeah.
like not like your work. Like I don't.
Yeah, which
I
is
actually like.
really interesting that we got
Yeah.
paired together. But
Hmm.
I'm here for it because I wanted to be challenged in a way of, kind of creating that. I sent this edit actually to an editor, and I kind of told her a little bit about that I'd be open to a little bit slightly different of an editing style because like these clients like all the vibes. And I brought my Super 8 on this, and I thought that it'd be like a perfect fit for Super 8. And while I was kind of shooting like down in the Redwoods and stuff, I got some Super 8 shots like of Danny because I'm like, this would be so perfect for her brand. Like this is so on brand for her. So I kind of told her like, oh, I kind of captured some Super 8 stuff of you. And like, if it turns out, like you never know with Super 8, those shots, I'll send them to you. And then they did. And so I sent her a DM and like spliced together like a little, I mean, it's like 15 seconds of like her and then like some portraits of the couple and then back to her working. And she's like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. Can you text it to me? Here's my number. So I texted it to her and then we like chatted a little bit. And she's like, this is so much fun. Thank you so much for capturing me. I just think it's cool to like just give a little bit of extra touch and like give some love back to the creative team as well.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I love Danny. I had known her. I met her in 2020 online. Like we were both in a same like education like course thing together. So we had gone back and forth a few times, but um I shot a wedding at Montage Healdsburg a few years ago with Eric McVeigh, and she second shoots with him a lot, and so we got to work together then. I want to say I've worked with her a couple more times beyond that. I want to say too. Maybe once at there's like a venue that overlooks the Golden Gate Bridge in like Sausalito. I'm blanking on the name, but I want to say she second shot for that one too. So we've crossed paths, and I think she's really sweet. But yeah, stylistically, like your work is so different from hers. So I like that you leaned in to a little bit more of the vibey, because that's clearly what the client likes, like as far as like photo goes. So that'll be a
Yeah,
lot of fun. I can't wait to see how that turns out.
I know. I'm really excited too.
Yeah.
All right. Are we going to wrap this one then?
Yeah, I will say, so this is going live the first week of December. Applications are currently open for League. We are really excited for a bunch of things that are to come. And actually, we've been getting a lot of questions about what League is. We haven't talked about it a ton on the podcast. Kelley, do you want to kind of describe what League is? So if someone's listening, they can kind of decide if it's something they may want to pursue.
Yeah, so League is our private networking group. There's education within it surrounding all things networking, figuring out how to get into the room, where to really smartly, like, smartly a word? How to be
Yeah,
smart
let's
about,
say it is.
yeah, how to be smart about where you're investing your networking and like marketing dollars. At this level now, I was doing a one-on-one with one of our mastermind students recently, and she was like, so if you're not if you're not paying for ads and you're not paying for being on directories or things like that, like what are you doing for marketing? Like where are your marketing dollars going? And for a second I was like kind of stumped, and I was like, she's like, is it that you're going to like these like different conferences and you're getting in the room? And I'm like, yes, exactly. That's what our like marketing dollars are now, is like getting in the room and building relationships. And there's so many opportunities out there. And I think that there's great opportunities in different eras of your business to pursue. And so we really talk openly. It's a really great community. There's referrals that are being thrown in there also constantly, second shooting opportunities when like someone within League is building a team for a certain wedding. We're doing various meetups. My dog just barked in the background if you heard that. And so it's just really fun. And we meet twice a month. We do a cultivate meeting and then we do a connection meeting. And actually just a couple weeks ago, our connection session was with 2 wedding planners.
Yeah, so we did like little breakout rooms. The planners led discussions. And so that's kind of the format that League generally will take. One big meeting where we're learning about different topics. Like we've covered how to host your own little mini networking event. We've talked about Engage and like how to get the most out of Engage. We've talked about like being in the room and like how to best go about that etiquette wise to really like make sure that time and money that you're spending stretches the farthest possible. And then a lot of connection sessions that we're doing are in the breakout room kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The breakout room format, so that there's somewhere between 2 and 4 different breakout rooms. You decide based on like whatever criteria we set for those breakout rooms which one is best fit for you, and you are able to connect with other photographers, filmmakers, and wedding planners within League. We are growing, so we're sitting at 122 members right now. Our goal is to add another 100 members, honestly, like over the next year, so that there's a lot more opportunity for connection at this level of the industry. So if you are thinking about getting in the room more, how you want to pursue relationships within the industry because you've seen the impact that it can have on other people's businesses like Kelley's, like myself, League would be a great fit for you. Applications are open. We will be like opening and closing them as we feel it's appropriate based on our members and what we have going on. But we just hosted a big holiday party in Orange County a few weeks ago in November. We will be hosting another party in Charleston coming up in February, and we'll be doing more of those things in person as well throughout the country. So we would love to have you guys join League. And it's a great thing to put on your 2026 bucket list too. So Kelley's biggest goal for 2026 was to get in the room more, and I feel like League would be a really great starting point and a great way to get into the virtual room too.
Yeah, of course. It's been so much fun, and I'm excited to continue to grow it. And Taylor and I are like constantly looking for like improvements and ways to make it just the best version it can be possible. So it's only about 5 months old now. And so we're excited to just like see it continue to grow and take shape and pour back into photographers, filmmakers, and planners businesses in the way that it makes sense for them in entering this next era of business.
Yeah. So the link is not publicly available anywhere. You have to like know what the URL is. So it is thelevelupco.com/league. We've had some people be like, I tried to Google it and I couldn't find it. And we're like, yeah, we kind of made it like slightly elusive and inaccessible, like unless it's kind of like if you know kind of thing. Because we want to really like make sure we keep a really high quality core group inside. So yeah.
Great. Well, Taylor, this was so fun. I feel like we haven't had like working at the same venue in such a short amount of time, just a couple weeks from each other. And so I'm glad that we did this one. And then next week, we're going to be talking about a fam trip that I was invited on. And I'm excited to walk you through the craziness of getting a call while I'm sitting in the middle of getting my hair done to booking a flight 4 days out from needing to be on Lanai in Hawaii, and just the whirlwind that it was. But it was such an amazing opportunity, and I can't wait to walk you guys through it next week.
Thank you for joining us in today's conversation. Please help us reach more filmmakers and photographers like you by taking a screenshot and sharing it to social media. And don't forget to tag us at The Level Up Co.
And join us again next week, same time, same place, as we continue to level up the industry together.